Hey everyone, so I'm back again with another video, and this time we'll talk about Webflux, Spring Webflux. You might have seen our previous videos on Spring. If not, then I would recommend you to go there. And if you are using Spring and if you have not heard of Webflux, this is the right time. Get introduced to Webflux. And if you are writing REST APIs and you have not used Webflux, this is going to be very important and exciting for you guys. So let's get started. So let's first understand why we are talking about a Webflux today. So the problem statement is these days or anytime whenever you write the REST APIs or call any endpoints, many times it gets called by multiple users. It goes to from thread pool to request, goes to the request handler, and then until the time that thread executes or it is waiting or it is in waiting state, that thread gets blocked and the user also gets blocked. So suppose let's understand it with the help of a REST API, where you can see if this is the REST API where I'm calling get user. So, and similarly this REST API will be used by multiple users. So multiple threads will get started, and until the time DB returns this, that thread gets blocked. So due to this, there is accumulation of thread, and Tomcat, JBoss, or any other server has a limited bandwidth. They don't have infinite threshold to serve the infinite number of threads. So maybe Tomcat for it is 200, 300. So similarly there is configuration on other servers as well. So that's why this is the major problem. Many people need to wait, many threads need to wait, and sometimes timeout also happens. So how Webflux will help here? So in Webflux, you don't need to wait, which means if you fire a request, that will go into processing and it will call an event, and that in the event loop, and there will be a worker node at the database as well. So database or file IO operations, so there will be an event loop. So whenever there is another thread which is available, that will pick from the event loop. And similarly, when this work is done, writing in the database or reading from the files, it will return back, it will again fire an event, and any thread which is available at the client side can take care of it. So here with single thread only it can be done. You don't need to wait for the operations to get completed. So it means it is asynchronous in nature anyway. So here you can see, understand it better, where the request is made, it creates an event, it goes in the event loop, and at the operational level, whether you are doing file IO operation, database or computation, it will do the work and return back. So the single thread doesn't need to wait for it. It goes, it handled via event loop. And how the same you can see here as well. The client, web client, mobile client. So multiple threads can come here in the event loop, and they don't need to wait for the database operation or file IO operation to get completed. Okay. So event, so thread at this side, client side, whenever some event gets returned or gets created by the database side or file IO side, it will return to the client with that response. Now how it is done? It is done through Mono and Flux. So Mono is used for single and Flux used for multiple if you have need to return more than one values. So this is available in Spring Web Flux framework. Okay. Now this will be a series of videos, so I'll stop here and we'll check more on the Spring Web MVC. Again, so let's get started on Webflux. So in the last time we have seen Webflux solution, how it works, like the request, the single request or the multiple request doesn't need to wait for the operations to complete. It finishes here, and whenever some event from the backend side gets triggered, and the thread which is at the request side, any thread which is available can handle it. So at both the ends, both the ends are responsible for triggering the event, and based on event take the appropriate actions. The thread at both the layers doesn't need to talk to each other directly, so there is no synchronous communication. You can think more of it like Kafka, where it's event-driven architecture. You can think like that as well. Now here again, just wanted to explain more how the clients and the database. So suppose this is the example where if multiple clients want to write to database, multiple threads will start, but they don't need to wait for the database write operations. They will come, trigger the event, and that's it. Database at the database driver side, the thread will listen to these events which gets triggered from the client side. It's so it accepts those requests right in the database and then trigger an event again. Once this trigger from the database side happens, then the thread which is available at the client side listens to it, and the response success failure, it gets returned to the client side. Now how these things technically work at the programming level. So at programming level there's two concepts. One is the mono and the other is the flux. Mono is if you for single if you need to return single record, then you will use mono, and flux you will use if you need to return more than one values. And these you can use in the REST API layer. Okay, so in the REST API you can use mono and flux like this for whatever you need to return. And so Spring MVC and Webflux, where it matches and where it is different. So you can see the controller and the reactive clients for the server, this is common, but the where it differ is Webflux gives you functional endpoints. It works on the event loop, and whereas Spring MVC doesn't work on the event loop, or it doesn't give you any functional endpoint. It follows the imperative logic, which is simple to write and debug. Now here you can see the basic difference, like in Maven you need to import, if you are using Spring MVC, Spring Boot, the starter.web, and if you are using Webflux, you need to import a Spring Boot, the starter Webflux. Okay, this is the Maven dependency that you need to add. Okay, and since it is a functional programming or reactive programming, here you need to have a handler and a router function as well, which is needed. And so Spring MVC is typically a blocking queue concept is there, but in Webflux there is no blocking queue concept. Okay, so here you can see the thread gets blocked in the earlier case, but now thread doesn't get blocked because of operations. Now Spring MVC and Webflux MVC, you can see layers are almost same, but it's a bit different. Like instead of REST controller, it has router, and then instead of service, it has handler. Repository and database layers remain same in Spring MVC and Webflux both. And so many times, like if there is so many requests which is coming to the event loop, in that case, if the thread at the receiver end, such a database or file, if it is handling less, then what will happen? So there is a concept of back pressure mechanism where you can say to the publisher event that I can handle only this much. Okay, so that is also possible here. You can see with this, you can pause here and look at the diagram to understand it better. Like if there is event triggered is more than the what it can do. So thank you so much for watching this Webflux video series, and I'll see you guys in another video, and I'll do some coding hands-on practice with the Webflux. Thank you so much for watching. Do like the video if you think it is helpful, and subscribe to the channel.